Okay, so we're going to talk about step 3. As my class always tells me, subscribe to the channel, smack the like button, exactly. All right, so we're going to talk about Kohler, the inspection, step 3. So when you go into a Kohler bathroom, when you're going on a bathroom for Kohler, we talk about the first step is talk about the obvious from top to bottom. And what are we going to use to really draw attention? Which one though, specifically when you're talking? How about some red tape, moisture meter, the UV flashlight, and the microscope? So when I would go in there, you start from top to bottom. So what do most bathrooms have? They've got a surround that goes up to about the 5-foot mark. What you need? Pass the pen back for me, Dave. So in most bathrooms, you've got the surround, whether it's plastic tile or what have you, comes up about 5 feet, and you have that sheetrock that's above that. So what has happened to that sheetrock all these years of condensation from hot showers and hot baths? If you reach right above the edge of the surround, that little lip that might be the top of the tile, the top of the plastic, water has run down and gathered on that edge for the last couple of decades. And it sits there wet until it evaporates. So take your finger and see if that sheetrock is soft right above there. Sometimes it's so soft you could push your finger right through it. The other thing you'll see that sheetrock start to do is it'll start to curl at the bottom edge because the paper layer off the sheetrock is starting to separate because it's gotten wet and then dried and gotten wet and dried so many times. What happens to that sheetrock once the paper layer starts to separate and pull off? Yeah, it's gonna wear out even faster, isn't it? So if I just see the curling of the paper, I'm going to point out, folks, the reason that's happening is it's gotten wet and dried over the last couple of decades. And while it took a while to get to this point, how long do you think it's going to last now that the paper separated and the plaster behind there is exposed to that moisture? Can you see, folks, how this is going to speed up and go faster and faster? And I'm asking questions. Can you see how it would speed up and go faster and faster? What's going to happen now that the paper's curled back? Take that shower head. Is it loose in the wall? And don't start selling product. Don't go, oh, when you see our stone wall, that won't ever happen. No, you're showing the problem now. So when you get into the product, you can refer back to the problem you saw. So you see with that stone wall, it wouldn't be loose like what you have now, would it? And so you can tie the two together. If you find that it's loose, put that red tape. If you got that sheetrock soft or curling, put a piece of red tape as you're talking about it. Work your way down. If it's anything like tile, you're going to find that there's much more likely to be mold at the bottom parts of the tub or the shower because the grout on tile jobs is porous and there's moisture behind there, and gravity literally pulls it down so it dries out quicker behind the tile up top and stays damp and wet longer behind the tile at the bottom. So that's where you're going to look for the problems. Cheap caulk, when they manufacture it, has dead organic matter in it, things like ground up seashells. So somebody that doesn't know any better goes to the big box, well, I need to put a little caulk around my tub, it's starting to pull and separate. So they take the razor blade and they cut it off. And then they go down to a big box store and they're overwhelmed by these, so they got $14 tubes of caulk and $3 tubes of caulk. Caulk's caulk. And so they buy the cheap stuff and they go in there and they use that to caulk around. Just like we saw on Michael's job, that caulk actually was a food source for the mold. That's why it was so overwhelming right on the caulk, because somebody used cheap caulk and actually provided a food source for the mold above and beyond what the other stuff that was there. What does mold need to grow? It needs moisture, it needs a warm environment, we got that covered in a bathroom, and it needs a food source. So what's typically the food source that the mold is feeding off of if we don't do something stupid like put cheap caulk in that adds to the food source?
Skin cells?
Yeah. The dead stuff we wash off ourselves is the food source that the mold is feeding off of. I'm going to share that with people because it sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
And I want them thinking about it. Because I'm going to tie that into my non-porous wall when I get into showing them the Lux Stone and how now there's no little nooks and crevices for the skin cells and stuff to get into and sit there and get funky in a warm, wet environment and turn into a slushy pile of food for mold. Because at a microscopic level, that's what's happening. That's why you have mold. And so you want to learn to have these kind of gross and disgusting conversations. If they've got a rubber mat in the bottom of the tub, pull it back. What's it look like underneath there?
Is it dirty?
Yeah, probably. Some people clean underneath them, but a lot of people don't. It'll be mighty funky underneath there. Pull it back, roll it back, see what's underneath there. So I'm going to use my red tape for all of these issues. I'm going to take the moisture meter. I'm going to start on the 3 walls. I'm going to start high and bring it down. Check on left and right on the back wall, and then the same way on the right, and see that it'll speak for itself if you can get some moisture underneath behind there. Mold, when it grows behind the walls, will typically grow for 2 to 3 years before it's a big enough infestation that it's coming through the grout and that kind of thing. So if you've got a tile shower and there's mold showing up in the grout, that's not surface. That mold's not on top of that grout. The mold is behind the wall and has grown through the grout, very similar to a mushroom coming up through the forest floor on when it's wet the next morning after it's rained. So you want to explain that to people. Folks, when you can see mold coming through your grout, that means the infestation is usually 2 to 3 years old behind the wall. That's how long it took for it to get big enough to be able to grow through the grout. And that's when I'm going to pull out that microscope and get it on that grout and let them see that mold, what it looks like up close, or let them see what it looks like on that caulk, if it's set up on the caulk, or if you've got any seams. If you've got an old bath fitter job or a rebath, they use that snap-in plastic trim where the 2 pieces come together. See if it, often you can get an edge of it to pull back. It'll be solid black on the back side of it. If you can pull that trim back just a little bit. I don't want you to force it and snap a piece off. Just see if it's loose enough that it'll come off. If it is, you can show them how funky it is right there behind that piece and up in that corner. People need to literally, if you're looking to create one of 2 things, if not both, you want them to literally start becoming embarrassed about the condition of their bathroom and the cleanliness, even if they're good people. Like you want her going, oh, I literally can't believe you're looking at this. I'm embarrassed. You want her feeling that, and then you want them to have real angst about they don't want to take any more showers in it. They don't want to use it anymore because of the condition it's in. So the moisture meter on the 3 walls, the microscope at seams and where grout is, and then the UV flashlight. Ask them, where they use these UV flashlights. They'll all say crime scenes. Reference a couple of the big shows. Well, that's right, like Chicago PD or Law and Order if you watch. That's my favorite. So let's see if any crimes have been committed in here. Make a joke out of it. Turn the light off and get in there. Stay away from the toilet and get in there and start high and just start coming down on that shower and see what you've got. You'll see basically 2 things. You'll either see if they're a little sloppy cleaning, where down in the corners they didn't get it, so there's these big bright bluish globs of biological stuff, and then it's nicer up in the flat walls where they were cleaning it. And you also see the swirls of the cleaner from when they've been cleaning. And then you can ask them, what do you use? You use Clorox or the Dow bath spray? Is it right here underneath the vanity? And pull it out and read those chemicals on the back and say, those are all the chemicals that you can see on the swirl, the ones that are left behind when you've wiped it down. Every time you're taking a shower, that water is pulling some of those chemicals off, and that's what's getting on your skin. You ever have any rashes or dry skin? You always find yourself having to use lotion to keep your skin from cracking. It's a good chance that's why it's happening, because of these harsh chemicals that you're washing over your body whenever you're getting in the shower. So you're using those as reference points. Now the next thing after you talk about the obvious is you want to ask about their dream. Do not steal it. They have an idea of what they want. They have looked at pictures online. They have read Architectural Digest magazine. They've seen Flip or Flop or Property Brothers. Find out what they're thinking. Find out what they're thinking. You know, I would have, and that one Marshall talked about, that lady would have come right out with, well, you know, tile this or tile that. I wouldn't have been saying anything about we don't do tile. I wouldn't have been trying to tell her anything at that point about why you wouldn't want tile. I'd just be like, okay, what will that do for you? You've already picked out a color scheme, and what colors are you thinking about? And have you had a tile shower before? And what makes you think you want tile? And okay, fantastic. And then I'm going to probably go back and zero in as much as I can again on it, just trying to start that process of education. But find out what you're dealing with here. You know, if we're having to do things like pool, jacuzzi, tubs, or it's an odd space, they might start talking about, well, we want to build a wall here, or we want to move it over to the far wall, or those kind of things. You're just trying to find out, what am I going to be dealing with later on as I've got to price this and put this package together. Are we both on the same page? It's very simple and straightforward, or is there some convoluted mess that I'll have to deal with and restructure when the time comes? So that's what you're finding out about here. Then the second thing is you're going to do your worksheets and your pictures. So here's what you need measurements of and what you need to take pictures of when you're in a Kohler shower. You need the width of the tub. So the best ways to get the true width of the tub, because if you do it on top of the tub and they've got a plastic surround or something, that plastic might be in an inch or so and it'll be a false measurement. So either do it on the floor right in front of the tub from edge to edge, where you just literally lay your tape measure down, so you're going right up against the wall, or step into the tub and reach above the surround and go from the corner of the sheetrock to the corner of the sheetrock.
Width is the long
width of the tub. You're facing the tub. How wide is the tub? Okay, width of the tub. And then you need the measurement from front to back of tub. So you're standing in the tub, that front edge of the tub, all the way to the back wall. And take this measurement from the center. Some older tubs will have a slight bow or flare to them, and it doesn't do me any good if we bring a pan based on that shorter measurement on the side, because then you're going to have a raw spot on the floor when we pull the tub out, put a pan in, and the tub bowed out like this. So always take that measurement from the back wall to the edge of the tub from the center, in case it's got any kind of curvature to it at all. So that way your pan's going to not leave any kind of gaps in the flooring when we pull it up. You're going to measure the side walls on the left and right. So how far out does the tile or the plastic come from the back of the wall on the left and the right? How far out does it come? You're going to measure the height of the ceiling. And the reason you're measuring the height of the ceiling is the Luckstone panels are 8 feet tall. So you're measuring the height of the ceiling so that you know how to structure your conversation when you get into the product demo. If it's a bathroom that has a ceiling that's 8 feet or less, you'll be able to tell them, and folks, just like in a great spa resort, your stone wall is going to run all the way up to the ceiling because it's 8 feet or less. If it's a 9 or 10 foot ceiling, then what you're going to do is you're going to say, and folks, you know how your surround stops at 5 feet? Ours goes up a full 8 feet, so you don't get any overspray or anything on top like you're getting now. So you just reference, if they have bathroom ceilings that are over 8 feet tall, our panel goes up a full 8 feet, like in a nice hotel or a resort or a spa, so you don't get any overspray up there. If their ceiling's 8 feet or less, our stone panel goes all the way to the ceiling, like a fine resort or a spa. So you're gonna measure.
Do we paint that, or is that the customer?
We do not paint.
Don't any paint.
We do not paint. The only time I'm willing to paint is if she's 92 years old, widow lady, does not belong on a step stool with a paintbrush in her hand, fine, we'll paint. And it's not going to be an issue. I'm telling you, You tell people that we're gonna tape it and we'll mud it and sand it and get all ready painted, because it's just little areas. Nobody's got a problem running a brush over an area like this if they don't have to do any prep work. It's the prep work nobody wants to do. All right, so you got the width of the tub, front to back, you got your sidewalls, you got the height of the ceiling. You're gonna measure the center of toilet to tub. Literally, you're gonna take you shut the lid of the toilet, set your tape measure at 17 inches and set it right in the center, or you can show with the actual measurement. The reason you're taking this measurement is in the early 2000s, they modified the residential building code that from a center of a toilet and a 180-degree arc, you have to have unobstructed space for 17 inches. That's for your knees when you're sitting on the can. From the left and the right in an arc all the way around, it's got to be unobstructed, a minimum of 17 inches. So you're going to go into homes built prior to the early 2000s, and the vanity is going to be right on top of the toilet, and the tub's going to be right there. Ah, my man. Thank you, sir.
Give me that rest of that stuff when you're done with that.
Okay, I got you. There you go. Thank you, my man. So you're going to go into homes built prior to then, the tub's right here, the vanity's right here. That doesn't represent a problem for us as long as we're coming back with what's called like for like. In other words, we're using the same footprint that's already there. But homeowners will ask you, hey, can you make my shower a little bit bigger than the tub that's there? Can you bring it out a couple extra inches? And the answer to that is whether they've got room on the 17-inch rule. If their tub is already at 17 inches or encroaches closer than that, you cannot make it any bigger. If it's across the room or 20 inches, yes, you've got the room to do it. As long as everything else about the job allows you to do it, you can do it. Now, if you're in a bathroom and the toilet's on the far wall, obviously you don't need to take this measurement. But I'm talking about if you're in your standard tub, toilet, vanity, door, we want that measurement.
Yeah, so let me just make, understand, so 17 inches is the middle of the toilet, so it's actually 8.5 and 8.5 on each side? Or
It's a 17, you set your tape at 17 inches, and it's a 17-inch arc
Okay,
all the way
so you put it in
around.
the center, you put it at the edge, so 17 inches.
Correct.
Edge of the
So it's
tub.
actually 34 inches, if you said that 34 inches.
Yeah, but that's not how it reads.
I know.
Do it the way it reads.
On
But
the edge of the tub.
What else you got?
Huh? You want your hair back? What's the question again?
I want to know what the toilet to the edge of the tub, just where the tub, the closest
I
measure.
need to know the closest edge of the tub to the toilet, and it's about 17 inches. And then you're gonna want an overall picture of the bath. If it's just, if it's an odd shaped bathroom, you might have to get in a couple of pictures, picture on the left, picture on the right, but get an overall. And then you gotta take a picture of the path to the door that they would logically be coming in. If they're gonna be coming in the front door, then it's a path to the front door. If they're gonna logically be coming in the side door off the kitchen, then it's a path to that door. You start with the bathroom, with your back to the bathroom, take a picture down the hallway, walk as far as that picture takes you, take a picture down the steps, go to the bottom of the steps, take a picture towards the door so that they can see what they're walking through, going through that. And then the last one you've gotta do is you've got to take a measurement of the drain to the back wall. So let me describe this to you, then I'll tell you the easy way to take it. What we want, if I was standing in the tub and the drain and the original tub's right there, I want to know how far that drain is to the back wall. Make sure we get the right pan brought out. Now your problem is it's a very hard measurement to get because you got to be directly over top of the drain. If you get it at an angle, it's pointless. It doesn't tell us how many inches it is. And if you've got the tub wall, your tape might be bumping into the tub wall, so you don't, how many inches is that? So here's the easy way to get it. Everything's in line. The drain, the spout the water comes out for the tub, and the shower head are all in the same line. So just go up here and tell me how many inches the spout for the shower head is off, because then you can get above the surround. You can measure right to the corner of the sheetrock, hold the tape, take a picture of it, and that'll tell me what my drain measurement is.
Are you measuring to the edge or to the center?
I'm right to the center of that stem coming out. Yep. Where's that pipe feed coming out? And those are the measurements and pictures that you're taking.
What's the last one say?
Drain to back wall. Now you've got two worksheets that are in that workbook packet I gave you. One worksheet has a diagram of a tub, and then it asks for 90% of these measurements to be written in. And then in the lower part of the worksheet is where you circle the selections they've made. Obviously, when you're in there in the inspection, you don't know what selections they made, so you can't fill that part out yet. You just put the part that you're taking your pictures of measurements, you're jotting them on that sheet. Then after you've done your product demo, they've designed their shower, you've closed them, you can real quick in the close, finish circling the selections, take a picture of it, and load it up to one click. The other worksheet that you're gonna do, it looks like a piece of graph paper. On that one, you're gonna do what's called a God's view, where you're looking down, straight down. And all I'm interested on the graph paper is a sketch of the bathroom. Here's your tub, here's the toilet, here's the vanity, and I want these measurements. I want the overall of the bathroom like this. And on here, you can note anything if it's custom. If you were building a short wall, or if we're moving something, you could put a couple of notes on here. But in 90% of your bathrooms, it's just a standard bathroom, you're just giving me this measurement and this one here. You can't really tell in a picture, unless somebody was standing there to give you perspective, you can't really tell in a picture exactly how wide and how deep bathrooms are. And smaller bathrooms are much harder to work in than bigger bathrooms. So we're just trying to give installation a heads up here on exactly what kind of space they've got to work with. So it's just a nice simple sketch. If you need any other measurements or special instructions, you can give them, but 80% of the time, you're just giving me these two measurements on that worksheet. And then the third thing you're gonna do is you're going to describe the install. You're in the bathroom, they're right there. There's no better time than to explain. You're going to explain the installation several times, but this is your first chance and the one that will be the most impressive because they're standing right there. So folks, let me tell you exactly what's a little bit different about how Kohler approaches this than just about any other company out there. And a little bit I'll tell you about Kohler, how they're 150 years old and still owned by the same family that started them. It's an amazing story. But what's really impressive about what Kohler does here is they give you an unconditional lifetime warranty. For as long as you live in your home, if you have any problems whatsoever, they are going to pick up whether it's a problem from the labor side, somebody got distracted 5 minutes on the job, or whether it's something came out of the factory that shouldn't have. They don't care. They're absolutely going to take care of it. There's no trip charge. It's not a prorated warranty where the value drops like batteries and tires. 25 years from now, you make a phone call, the technician, they don't mail you the part. The technician shows up in a van, got the most common parts, got the replacement part in the hand, goes, where's the bathroom? And all the cost of that's picked up by Kohler. Because they do that warranty, there's only one way this shower can be installed. We don't go over top of anything or reuse anything like so many of these other companies. We're going to not only pull your surround in your tub, but we're going to pull this wall material from the ceiling to the floor and expose the stud wall behind it and the subfloor. That drain right there in your tub, there's a little short pipe about this long called a throat that carries the water from the drain in that tub down to the waistline in the house. Even if you've never had a water leak, years of condensation from hot baths and hot showers will have caused condensation on that throat, and the subfloor around it will be discolored and soft almost every time. If we find any problems whatsoever with the subfloor, that's going to be changed out. Whether we have to do the whole piece of subfloor or whether we're just doing the section around the throat, it's going to be dealt with. If we find there's any water damage, mold, mildew, wood rot on that stud wall, we'll be replacing the parts of those studs that have problems. Now, don't say we do it automatically, because we don't. If it doesn't need to be done, we don't do it. Folks, that is not an opportunity for anybody to ask for more money from you halfway through the job. We don't play that game. We fully expect to have to change a piece of wood here or a piece of wood there, because that's how you do it right, and it's part of the job. Then we're going to go to your hot and cold water lines where they come through the floor or they come through the wall. We're going to cut those lines and cap them with brand new shutoff valves. Then all the lines coming forward, the fasteners, connectors, valves, diverters, all go to the dump. We're not reusing any of that stuff. We're putting all new lines, new valves, new diverters, new fasteners and connectors. So once we have this shower area back up to new construction quality, new construction as if this house had just been built, then we'll install your custom Kohler shower. Because Kohler knew there's no way they could provide a warranty like I just described if they were going to reuse 20 or 30-year-old valves and lines. What kind of valve you think the builder chose when he put your shower in? Builder grade, right? Just, cheapest thing that was in the plumbing supply house. Now it's 30 years old. You don't want to reuse that valve for your new shower, right? That's why we don't do it, because you're exactly right. You don't want to reuse that stuff. So we're going to change it all out. And then once it's up to new construction quality, then we can install your custom shower. And hold on one thought. And then so, folks, any questions about the installation or anything? Let me ask you, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm really feeling that whether you did this with us or one of our fine competitors, you're really in a situation you need to do this sooner rather than later. Wouldn't you say? And they agree with you, and then you can go get your kits and bring them in and start your story there. All right, what was your question, David?
I think you kind of said it earlier when you were talking about like pulling out old studs and stuff like that, but we can plant seeds for our company story with our crews and stuff like that in this phase, right?
Give me an example.
Like, when you're going into, if there's damage behind and we want to make sure the job's done right, we're going to pull these out. Luckily we have extremely experienced crews who've been solely doing this for a long time, so you don't have to worry about any steps being skipped, and I'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's okay. So that would be fine. You got to be real careful you don't start pitching the company in this step. But layering it in like that, that's one of the reasons we're all our crews are certified. I'll go into detail about their training, but it's got to be done right, folks. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.